Hello. I'm just gonna wait for a second. Hello. Okay. Hey guys. So I'm going to just first of all say that I was supposed to make videos. Oh. I'm on a funny chair. Okay. I was supposed to make videos on my YouTube today, but I never got around to it because I have a sick son. We were exposed on Monday to COVID. So we've got a bunch of rapid tests and we've all come back negative so far. But my son has been running a fever today. So that's why I didn't get to any videos on my YouTube channel. Yeah, well, we haven't had COVID yet. So this is the first time we've ever been exposed that we know of. By someone that actually was positive. They came positive. So we are all fully vaccinated. I don't want to hear the debates about the vaccines. My son is medically fragile. So anyways, Dad is upstairs with him. We alternate nights putting him to sleep. So anyways, we are going to be hunkering down for the next few days. Okay. So anyways, yes, influenza A is making the rounds, but we literally had someone in our house that tested positive for COVID. So that's, they were in our house on Wednesday or on Monday. It was my son's nurse and she's out right now with COVID. So, right now my son is sick. Okay. So yes, thank you for that. Yes. I hope he has a speedy recovery too. Okay, so I'm going to turn off COVID. I'm going to turn off comments. Sorry, just for a second, because I just wanted to talk real quick about some things that I've been hearing. Okay, so earlier today I put out some information about James. His ex-wife, Angela, shared her feelings about how he has abandoned his son, Jaden, and how he basically gave up on his son, and he has a car now and he has money, but yet he's still not making an effort to see his son. When Jaden turned 10 years old, which was on the same day that James and Miranda posted their engagement video, James did not publicly say happy birthday to his 10-year-old son. He didn't really even call him that day. His son found out online that his dad was engaged and found out online that his dad didn't care that it was his 10th birthday. So Jaden has been struggling, and I've been speaking for about a month with Angela, and she kind of publicly said something today. So I shared that so you can see that it's not just about Miranda. And then I also shared some information that came from Daniel Joseph's, like, people around him telling me that he has completely cut off his family and they haven't spoken to him in 7 years. And it's been 21 years that he's been in this group. Daniel actually came from a really close family, a lot like the Wilkins. And he was pulled into the group by Robert, and he has become Robert's most loyal member, probably next to Shirley and Hannah. So, I've been working with some former members and learning a lot about this group and learning a lot about the tactics of this group. And a couple things that I've learned from what they're telling me is that now some of them left. I don't want to say when they left because I don't want to identify them. Just know that they had lots of experience with Robert, years. And while they were living in the housing and with underneath Shekinah's leadership, they were not allowed to watch TV. They were not allowed to be on social media. They were not allowed to play on their computers. Really all of their information was monitored, and their communications were monitored, they said. So they basically said that we weren't allowed to email people. We weren't allowed to check social media. Several of them talked about how their emails got hacked and people were sending emails as them to people, horrible things that they never would have said to people. So friendships and loved ones that they had outside heard horrible things that they didn't say to them. And then they also said that they were monitored 24 hours a day, supervised, One person said that they had to escape. And I've heard multiple people actually had to escape because they were kept against their will, they alleged. I'm sure Robert will deny that. So I just want to put that out there, like that's their side of the story. Robert he can deny it if he'd like to. I'm just going to share what they're telling me. So they were saying today that Robert has a tendency to move from thing to thing to thing. And he's always trying to the way that they described it is that he is always trying to get to the next big thing to make him money. And he's been doing this for like decades. So he started a real estate business, but when his sister and him, the whole 2008 split that I explained to you a couple days ago, a bunch of their companies ended up having to close because Catherine filed for bankruptcy and they were like joint owners on everything. So a lot of their real estate businesses kind of like went away, and then they tried to rebrand themselves and it didn't really work. And they've never had a ton of overwhelming success in real estate. Then they tried to go into the movie world and they tried to make Daniel famous, but it didn't work because according to people I talked to, Daniel's just not the best actor and he didn't really have what it took to be famous. So when him trying to make money off Daniel worked and he propped Daniel up as that, he pushed Daniel to the side, and then he tried to make Chloe famous. And so he invested a lot of money and time and energy into like trying to get Chloe to be famous. He tried to hire managers and tried to get her connected into K-pop, and it never really stuck. They also said two or three of them alleged that Chloe and Daniel's relationship was because Chloe needed a green card. Again, I can't verify that, so I don't know the status of that. But one person said that it was described as like a business transaction. So they weren't really in love and they were more like brother and sister. So anyways, so they got married for whatever reasons. And we still don't know if it's real or not, whatever. So they ended up spending a ton of money on Chloe's failed pop star. And when that didn't work, then he decided he was going to invest in Isaiah. So Chloe got dumped because her career wasn't really taking off. Daniel got dumped because his career wasn't really taking off. And when he found Isaiah, they sort of hit pay dirt because they found these dancers, and they are now in a position where the same history is repeating itself. So no matter what they do, they end up getting found out for whatever tactics that they're using. And they're like chameleons. So the members said that they sort of just like weave from place to place to place, and like they have to like keep reinventing themselves because whatever they tried over here didn't work. So then we're gonna go over here. And they said that they don't know a lot about anything, so they're usually flying by the seat of their pants. They didn't have any experience in making films and then decided to be filmmakers. They had no experience in being music people, and then they tried to make her famous through music. They have zero experience being talent managers, and they're trying to be talent managers. Robert wasn't a licensed real estate agent, and then there's like they have their real estate and their escrow companies together, which is apparently illegal in the state of California. So there's lots of like illegal transactions that could have happened while they were doing their real estate deals. So now we find out that he's opened these 4 like companies for the dancers. And I asked the former members, I was like, well, what are these companies? And they're like, oh, those are shell companies. That's their allegation. I'm not saying they're shell companies. That's what the former members said. And they said, he opens these companies. They probably don't even know that they're opened. If they do, they have no, like, they're not taking care of them. They basically explained that when you're in this cult, like, you as the person there's people assigned to do things. So like they said, like Hannah would be assigned to pay all the bills and manage all the money, and Shirley would be assigned to do all of your legal paperwork and manage all your legal documents. And so you could be, multiple people have alleged that their signatures were forged and they had no idea that they were on documents that they knew nothing about. And then they found out about it after they left. So they said that they probably might not even know that these companies exist. And when I asked them, like, do you think that they know what's going on social media? And they said, you know, I don't think they have a clue. They probably have a very watered down version, but Robert is not telling them everything and they're not allowed to see everything. So the social media posts that are being put up, they don't even know really what they're responding to, I guess, is the way that the former member said, because Robert wouldn't allow them to. They're supposed to spend like all of their time and energy doing like efforts that are super godly and like fruitful, and being on social media and like wasting your time watching TV is not fruitful. And so they don't get to do that. It's not uncommon for cults to control like the information that you take in and your access to information as well. So another aspect that we talked about was, why is B- always with Miranda? So they basically said that in this group, when a member is kind of like either on sort of the edge or there's something going on around them where they fear that they could actually leave, they will put extra precautions in place to make sure that literally nothing happens for that person to leave. So for instance, one person said that they went to have lunch with someone that was from the group after they left, and they wanted to see them because they missed them. And they were monitored the whole time. They were not allowed to be alone with the person. Someone from the church in the leadership, they alleged, was sitting there with them. And like, if they asked certain questions, the people from the church wouldn't allow them to answer those questions. So it's really highly controlled stuff. So I said, well, is Miranda going to ever be able to have a conversation alone with her parents without B-? And they said no. They said they probably trust James to keep her in line. And so he's probably been tasked as like a mentor in a way to her, where he's controlling everything that she does and making sure that she stays on message and doesn't like deviate from that mission. And they literally feel like they have this mission for God where they like have to save the world. And so the way that they described it was like one wrong word, like Robert, they said, plants in their head that if they say one wrong word, kill someone with their words or send them into eternal damnation. They also said that he makes you believe that like everyone outside of the cult is like, or the alleged cult is evil and the devil. So you're not supposed to mix with satanic people. And so if you mix with satanic people, you can potentially end up in. So they spend their lives like super terrified, they said, of just like constantly doing the wrong thing. They also said it's like a military inside where like they're worked super hard. They don't get to eat a lot. They also don't get to drink a lot, and their bathroom time is monitored. So like if they go to church, they can't go to the bathroom while they're in church. If they like if they're gaining weight, their mentor might start restricting their food, they said. If they are, it's so horrible. Like they're only allowed to sleep like 5 hours a night, they said, or that's what their allegation was. And it's like 7 days a day, 7 days of working day, Friday or Sunday is all day at church. So it's like you're working straight 6 days a week and then you go to church. And then it's like all of your free time when you're not working is the church activities. You're only allowed to hang out with other church people. And they also said that even though it looks like they're all friends, Robert plays favorites, they said. So if somebody's not doing well or if they're getting a lot of heat, so say like Miranda right now is getting all this negative press, he's maybe going to stop favoring her and he'll start trying to elevate somebody else. Like if you saw recently, he was trying to really elevate like it's Slavic or Vic. Another thing, okay, so I got a lot of shit for this a couple weeks ago when I talked about Slavic's fundraiser, but I flat out asked them about the fundraiser, and they said there's absolutely no way that you can guarantee that Robert's hands aren't on that money. They said that they've done fundraisers in the past for him and he's taken money from the fundraisers. That was their allegation. So they said that if the group is putting out fundraisers, to not donate, because you cannot guarantee that Robert won't be taking that money, and they don't have access to any of their bank accounts according to them. So when you're donating to them, you're basically giving Robert money. So if you want to help Ukraine, go to a verified source. I hope Ellen will really consider removing that video so people stop donating to that, because they likely are going to just be giving money to Robert and not to Slavic's father. So really, the biggest controversy a lot of you have had is, well, we can't ruin their livelihoods. A former member told me they don't have livelihoods. All the money they're making is going to Robert and the church. That's the allegation. So you're not ruining their livelihood. You're actually like, it's about stopping the cult from making money. And if you start squeezing off that revenue source, it forces them to have to divert and to change course. And if they don't have the money to sustain, to continue doing what they're doing, they can't continue to exploit these people. So if they're not making them money, they're not going to be valuable to him. And so there's a higher probability that he would let them go, or not even let them go, but they might not want to be there anymore because they're not making money anymore, because that's the promise he made to them. So the biggest way to impact it, the former member said, is you have to start looking at their income streams. And so when you are contacting sponsors, don't think that you're hurting the dancers. You're not hurting the dancers, in my opinion. They are being hurt by someone completely separate to any of this. They're not being hurt by me. They're not being hurt by you. They're in a alleged high controlled environment where they don't have freedom or free will. Like, that was literally what the member said, is there's no such thing as free will. Like, everything is selfish, everything. So another thing that they noticed was I shared a document, I'll show you. And it was this, which has like spelling, and it has like that he says that his identity is not his own. 2 separate people, or 3 people, actually told me that this is not his handwriting, and they don't believe that Daniel wrote that at all. They don't even think that he even maybe knew what he was signing off when they signed this, or when they put this into the court records. But they said that that handwriting is one of the women. They didn't say who, but they said it's one of the women. It's not Daniel's handwriting. They also said that Daniel is easily, as horrible as he looks right now, they all described him as kind of like this, like really like gullible guy that is just so easy to follow and easy to please, and like has a huge heart, but like also is lacking in just like some of his common sense sometimes. And so he's not a horrible person. He's just been like highly manipulated by him. That doesn't mean he might not be partaking in illegal activities. It just means that he also was a victim when he met him. And every single one of them were victims at one point. That doesn't excuse the behavior that they do while they're inside, right? So if they choose to abuse people, that's their choice. Because there are members I have spoken to that chose not to abuse anyone while they were inside, and chose not to be involved in the practices. And then there's others that do. It just sort of depends on where they stand. So we are going to continue to report on the situation, and the Daily Mail TV put out something. There are multiple major outlets working on pieces right now. I know of at least 3 major publications that are doing deep investigations right now. So there's no stopping this story, no matter what spin they want to put out there. And I'm not like above the fact that they think that, like last week they threatened to sue me, but I know factually they have been running multiple accounts that are flat out defaming me, slandering me, and spreading malicious rumors about me that are not true, and deflecting what's happening on their side onto me. So I would certainly not want to be in a situation where I'm threatening to sue someone while I'm also slandering and defaming the person that I'm threatening to sue. I'm not here to hurt any of the dancers. I'm not here to harm any of the people on the inside. what we're watching right now is actual like horrible activities allegedly happening right before our eyes. And there's real people that are at risk inside. And there's a lot of family members that are really freaking scared. So another thing that I think is really weird and concerning is like, if you're an influencer, I don't like to say that I'm an influencer, but I do have a platform. I also have a legal team, and I have had managers in the past. And I will say this, like, your managers are not your boss. Your managers are your hired help. So like, if you have a fucking manager, they're working for you. You don't work for your managers. And if any manager makes you believe that you work for them, it's a farce. A manager is hired by a talent to help them with their career, but they're not working. You're not an employee of the manager. In fact, rather, you're paying the manager. They're your employee. Okay. So no rational, not brainwashed individual would ever be okay with the way that these managers are handling situations. They would never be sad. Like, as someone who has a platform, you don't delete your social media. So if you have James who has social media and it's a verified account and they're deleting it on Facebook, they deleted a verified Facebook account page of his. Who deletes a verified page of something on Facebook? That's what's on Facebook when you try to go to his verified page. Do you know how like hard it is to like work to get followers and to like maintain a following? Any person that cares about their social media would never delete a page that's verified. Just unless they're like, it's Twitter, everyone hates Twitter, but come on, Facebook is a monetizable page. It's a monetizable source. Why would you cut off a revenue source of someone? They also deleted Miranda's Facebook. Why are you deleting people that you claim that you care about, and you care about their business and their success, and you're bragging about all the followers they have, yet you're deleting their pages? That makes no sense. It also makes no sense for an influencer to stay in a situation where their managers are being like this and not fire them. There's no explanation for that at all, other than what we're all speculating is happening. I hope that makes sense, but I would never allow that. And I've had various legal teams and I've fired many because when you have because you can have lawyers that help manage your career. You can have actual managers. I use legal for all of my stuff. It's just easier for me. And they all charge, it's like they take a percentage, but at the end of the day, like, they work for you. And if you're not satisfied, you can find someone else. And they have a big enough platform where they could easily find someone else. Okay. But they're not going to find someone else because of why? Well, they're in a high control environment, allegedly. Okay. I'm going to turn on comments. I want to continue to thank all the people that are reaching out. I think there are some people that will be close to speaking out soon. If you're waiting for more people to speak out, we had Angela go out today and speak her mind. And we have people on the backside that are speaking out like to me, and I'm saying things for them. And I'm hoping, like with all hope, that more will go out and say things. They are reposting and resharing older videos. They do that a lot. Everything everyone said would have happened during the last live that they would do, they've done, makes them look so much worse. I don't believe they have any self-awareness because they're conditioned right now to believe that everything outside of them is like satanic and scary. And so they probably have no clue or awareness, and they're not gonna know. Like someone said to me, you have to wake up and there has to be something that makes you snap out of it. I mean, that's literally what people said. It's like you're in a haze the whole time that you're inside of it, and then suddenly like something will happen and you snap out of it and you're like, holy crap, like this is really bad, and then you need to get out. They also sent a cease and desist to someone who did one podcast, which I should say is really weird. To date, Daily Mail, Rolling Stone, Daily Beast, The Sun, the Mirror, Gawker, there's been so many outlets. It's gone international in the coverage. All of them using the same terminology of it being an alleged cult. And yet they sent a cease and desist to like one random podcast, which is insane because like last night, Daily Mail TV had a cult expert, Rick Allen Ross, who runs the Cult Institute, which is a website where you can go and learn about different groups. And it was like, they put that out and it's like, so you have cult experts speaking out about the situation, saying that it looks a lot like what a cult is. You know, no one's going to say flat out, this is a cult, but you've got cult experts and forensic neuropsychologists weighing in on the situation, and you're going to send a cease and desist to a podcaster. It's ridiculous. Well, and I should mention that the state of California has what's called anti-slap. So in the state of California, you can't sue someone for speaking from freedom of speech. You can't prevent the media from telling or reporting on a story just because it's something that you don't want them to know about or you don't want the public to know about. If there's a public interest and you're a public figure, you can't sue. There's a law called anti-slap. So if they were to try to sue someone just puts the anti-slap down and gets thrown out. Well, they're not, I mean, I have a network, I have like a whole group around me now, and I'm not independent at this point when it comes to this story at all. I still have a team. Well, I'm not really paying too much attention to those pages. I mean, like what they're saying about me and like the stuff about my child, they've said all these pages have done a million times, but it's just another indication that like, if you're reporting on something and like their reaction is to call you a neglectful mom when the guy that's leading the group actually had 4 kids that he like basically abandoned when they were children and didn't raise, and then there's dancers in his group that he's managing that aren't taking care of the kids that they have. It's just a double standard. You just have to ignore them. So yeah, James is paying child support, but probably not what he should be paying. That's a whole nother issue. There's a lot of issues with that situation right now that I don't want to go into, but he is paying child support, but he should be paying more because technically he's making a lot more money than what that child support was based on. So Robert, by taking money out of that from James, is actually taking money from a child and the child support of that child. So I don't know what's going to happen with that situation. Ultimately, like, that'll be up to the mom. Like, to be completely frank, like, Angela doesn't have any ulterior motives. She is just a woman that has a child that she loves and adores, and she's dealing with the sadness that he's dealing with because his father is in another cult and has again abandoned him, and watching his father chase fame and money while his entire, like, he has a Tesla that he's driving, but he can't be bothered to go to his son's basketball games or any of his events that he's participating in. They have like no relationship. My son is sleeping. Yes, he went to bed early. What about my right eye? Nothing's about my right eye. I think it's going to eventually have to so no, Matt, Stefanina, and Dana are not a part of this at all. In fact, Dana has spoken out against this, and Matt is not involved in it because the dancers were his roommates when they got sucked into this, but Matt was not a part of it and never a part of the church. He's not a religious person and would never get involved in religion, apparently, according to the people I've talked to. And I've spoken to plenty of like big names that have said that like Matt's not involved in this. He was just friends with them.
Oh, sorry.
I did see what Joey wrote on that post. Yes, Joey continues to use his voice. I actually took a screenshot of that. He said, I am a dancer, and from the people that are now in 7, I do not want to see them fail. I want to see them succeed. They have been through a lot together. I want to see my friends successful, big houses, cars, everything they want, but without any control or BS. That's all this is about. I've been through a cult situation with a lot of them once before. You can't discredit me or say anything is fake about me, so stop speaking about what you don't know. Check my history, look at my page. We danced on television together, lived together. A friend of ours is being asked to join the group and has facts and proof of some of the BS going on. So really, people who don't know what they are talking about should let the people with facts and proof speak. Don't create false narratives. That's for both sides. So again, it's a scary situation for anyone to speak out about this. So I don't think you can ask people to speak out and you can ask people to share, but then there's the world of entertainment, and some people will not want to be attached to this because of the negativity, and they will think that it'll be bad for their business to attach themselves to anything controversial because brands don't like controversy, and then they might end up losing brand deals, and it's a very cutthroat business. And so you can't expect people that are business people to insert themselves into something out of concern just because they're a good person and they're worried. Just some people are not going to be willing to do that. And do I agree with that? No, but I'm not going to say that they're a horrible person for doing it. Every single person has a choice, and you can't force someone. Just like the people that are the family members, you can't force them to speak out. You can't force a victim to speak out. I don't know what kind of more proof needs to be released. We've already put out a lot of information. Robert is here legally, yes. I don't know a lot about Concrete, to be honest. He was in my comments a couple days ago, but then when I started asking about sexual abuse allegations, he disappeared. I can't even think about other cults right now. Chocolate. Demi says, hi, Todd.
Hi.
I don't know why they're deleting Facebook accounts. It's really bad. Well, it's not true that nothing can be done legally. It's just I don't think it's a good thing to announce publicly what legal ramifications they could be facing, because it would be you don't want to tip someone off because then they can start deleting evidence. But he does put a lot of documents and things. He doesn't put anything in his name. If you look at all of his records, nothing is in his name. He uses everybody else, and that's another way of escaping culpability and covering your tracks, in my opinion. If you don't have things in your name, then if something legally happens, it's kind of like what I was talking about yesterday with Anna Duggar. She is on all of these LLCs, and if Josh is doing something illegal with these LLCs, it's her name that's on all of these documents. It's not his. And if he gets audited or gets tax evasion or money laundering, Anna can end up going down too. So he places people's names on things, and so then they can end up in a spot where they're culpable, and so it makes them less likely to turn him in, because then he'll be well, and this is just my speculation here, that, well, you have dirty hands too. Yeah, so the companies that the dancers have, they probably don't even know about. That's what they were all started the same day. They were all signed by the same CPA. They all have the same address. It's Okay, so the Wilkins are going to California, I think. I haven't really talked to them. So they are keeping a lower profile, and I think that's their right now. And I wouldn't expect Miranda to see them at this point. I don't think Robert's going to allow it, but that's just, again, my opinion.
What are you doing?
I said something about Anna being on all the legal documents. That's why she mentioned that, me, Michael. Someone's name is Chocolate and S'mores. It's okay. About your ADHD or whatever. I have ADHD too. I get it.
ADD.
Oh, ADD. So yeah, right now we're just releasing things as we can and sharing what we have as we learn it. You just don't, like, you have to remember that, like, when someone joins a group that's coercive or controlling, like, there's like different levels of like when you get involved in groups like this, and there's like this phase where the group is like love bombing you, and they're like giving you all of this love, attention, and giving you like everything that you want and like wooing you in, and they're like filling a void of something that's going on in your life. He is going after people that are vulnerable, that are young, that are easier to be manipulated. There's several people that have struggles with mental health issues, several that were autistic, people that have come from unstable homes, households, so they were very isolated. And then there's others that had more supportive families. But again, you don't know that you're joining a cult when you join one. And so when you're being love bombed, it's almost like this intoxicating feeling, and they believe wholeheartedly that he is their prophet. And so they like are seeking to please him constantly, is how it's described. And so they're just constantly trying to one up each other. That's the way the former members are. It's like always like, what can you do to make him happiest? How can you get the most access to him? Because if you're not, the former members said, kissing his booty, he doesn't really bother with you. Allison has been following along the whole time. I haven't really, like, again, I don't want to put Allison and Twitch on blast. They might not have ever had a clue, you know? It's not just that they're brainwashed with the fame. They're also being like, they're using tactics to like stop critical thinking. And then they're also using techniques to like control their diet so that they're hungry, and their sleep so they're tired, taking away their access to like all their responsibilities, according to the former members I've spoken to. He does become like a father figure for a lot of these people, correct? Yeah, and like being positive is like a part of a lot of cults. So it's like to spread joy, be around like happy constantly. Toxic positivity is like a thing. I haven't spoken negatively at all about the dancers. I've reminded people several times that everyone in the situation are victims, but there's a fine line in groups like this. So again, I just want to make this caveat that just because someone was a victim, these situations are very complicated and complex. So someone walks in and they are victimized by someone, allegedly, but then they can also become and a part of the system. So think of Allison Mack. I'm going to use this example a million times over. She was a victim of Keith Raniere, but she also participated in the branding of women's pelvic bones and putting initials by cauterizing women's skin and trafficking women into a sex like cult, right? She's definitely lost a lot of weight. They all have. Even B-Dash has lost a lot of weight. Someone was like, sent me a picture of her. She's really thin. It's not just the fasting, they control their diets. Let me see if I can find it. I had a picture of her saved where she looked healthier. Here's a side by side. The red is before and then the gray is now. She was already thin to begin with and had an athletic build. But she has lost a lot of muscle and body mass. She was a beautiful girl. She did not need to lose any weight. If you remember Keith Raniere's girls, they all looked like walking skeletons before he got caught. It was scary because he had them on 500 calorie a day diets where they had to like write down every single thing that they ate. Let me see.
That's not even a meat. That's not even a proper meal.
I know.
500 calories.
I know. It's bad. There is another photo I have of her where she looks really healthy. Hold on, let me find it. Here's another one. Like you can tell that they both have lost a lot of weight. And I think one thing that's really important to remind you of is that it's not normal for an athletic dancer to not eat food and to have them restrict and fast when they're exercising all day long. Dancers are athletes, and so yes, they need to maintain their health and eat healthy, but you shouldn't be restricting an athlete's diet, especially when they need their muscles to dance and they need their energy to dance. So you're just making them tired. And I think a lot of people have mentioned that her hands shake, and I don't think it's because she's nervous. I think it's because she's drinking so much damn coffee, probably as a stimulant, in my opinion. Okay, goodbye, Juliet. Anyone that says she looks better now, given what we know, you're not helping the situation. She was gorgeous. There's absolutely nothing wrong. I mean, her hair was very long, but she has an athletic body. There's nothing wrong with her build here. She's tiny. She didn't need to lose weight. This is before the group. I mean, they changed everything about her. It's not about a glow up, you guys. It's about changing her identity and stripping her of who she was so that she takes on a new self to be a part of the group, in my opinion. She's a beautiful woman. Yeah, that's her natural hair. She never wanted to dye her hair. She never wanted to cut her hair. Those were things that she would frequently talk about. She loved having her long hair. So I don't know. Who's Jelly Bean that someone's yelling at? Okay. Can I show a picture of her now? Yes. I just need to find one that's not a video. She's still beautiful. It's not the point that she's not beautiful. I think there's a lot of similarities because in general, leaders, like all of these guys like women a certain way. I mean, Bill Gothard of the IBLP liked his ladies to have long curly hair and wear long dresses. You know, every leader has a preference and that preference is known. Why do you keep showing up, Mia? Like, are you here to like, so did they reactivate their Facebooks to try to say that I'm lying about the fact that their Facebooks were gone? This was their Facebook today. No, it's not that common. Like, you know, if you're going to, I'm going to turn off comments again. If you're going to focus on the fact that everyone in Hollywood loses weight, if you're going to focus on the fact it's common when someone becomes famous to lose weight, when you already have women that are fit and in shape and already thin, there's no reason for them to lose weight. She had proper management and she had proper representation before she joined this group, and they never were making her cut weight. They were not forcing her to lose weight. So no, her diet is allegedly being constricted. Robert doesn't like women to be fat. They control diets, according to former members. They limit the amount of water they drink, when they can go to the bathroom, how many calories they can eat. If they think they're gaining too much weight, they will put them on restrictive diets. So no, that's not the same as having a manager. her previous management wasn't doing this to her because she was already beautiful. It's so frustrating. It's so frustrating. It's like some people want to ignore everything else. They want to focus on the fact like, well, everyone does that in Hollywood. No, they don't. To be honest, the days of the skinny girls in Hollywood is gone. Dancers are not all the skinny girls anymore. Dance has really evolved into all body shapes and types, very equivalent to how Hollywood has evolved to accepting women more of their size. It's not so you have to be tiny and thin and a size 0 anymore in Hollywood. Think of all of these amazing, okay, think of Cardi B. Is Cardi B a twig? No. Is Lizzo a twig? No. Are her dancers twigs? No. Is Mary J. Blige a twig? No. Is Lady Gaga a twig? No. Like that whole like waif from the 90s, that whole look doesn't exist anymore. Nicki Minaj, Kim Kardashian isn't a twig. None of her sisters are twigs. J-Lo's not a twig. Leah Remini's not a twig. They're just not. Beyonce is not a twig. Jojo Gomez. Do y'all follow Jojo Gomez? Not a twig. Britney's not a twig. I love Jojo. She owns who she is. Her Instagram gives me life. Yeah, Taylor Swift gained weight because she said that she wasn't gonna live that way anymore. Don't you remember the waifs of like, remember like in the early 2000s when everyone was really, really thin, like Lindsay Lohan and Nicole Richie and Tara Reid and Christina Aguilera. Like it was very trendy to be very tiny. I think JoJo is gorgeous. Even Paris Hilton is not the frame that she used to be. Like
She used to be really skinny.
she used to be really, really thin, and she's like, she looks healthy now. By the way, I love Paris. I'm so happy that she's happy.
What's up? You gonna go potty? Hey.
They're becoming thin. I don't know. I actually spoke to Paris's assistant last week. Paris is apparently watching the story. She's very invested.
Hey, what are you doing, sweetie? Sweetie, come on, stop. Don't be doing that.
Nice kitchen, thank you. My house is kind of a mess.
No.
My hope is that if everyone can work together and everyone can work and to expose this the way it needs to be exposed.
Sit.
Oh my gosh. I should ask her assistant to have her post about it. I don't know if she follows me anymore. She used to follow me on Twitter. She used to follow me on Instagram. I don't know if she still does. I did some work with her when she did the Breaking Code Silence stuff with her docuseries. I interviewed one of the girls that she was in school with that was in the documentary. So I got kind of a teaser ahead of time about what was going to be in her This Is Paris documentary, which was profound. Yeah, so I got to speak with one of the women that went to that Provo Canyon with her. Well, if they're going to Pensacola, that's in 2 months. June is not right around the corner. Okay, so then the other thing I was sharing was about the Will Smith thing. So I shared the video of him slapping Chris Rock, and then I shared a reaction that Jada had to him, and then I saw Chris's reaction, and I have kind of like held off my opinions on this, and I'm gonna turn off comments again here, and I'm not gonna say too much about this, but just in general, I'm not a violent person, and I don't believe that violence is the answer or ever a like response to anything that happens to you. We are not like, we don't spank our children. We don't believe in violence in our home. I would never, as a wife, want my husband to hit someone that disrespected me. That doesn't change the fact that the joke wasn't kind. It doesn't change the fact that right after he'd made a joke about a white woman where he didn't degrade her, that he went on to degrade a black woman. That is completely noted. And I noticed that right away. I was like, well, why isn't Penelope Cruz being degraded in this situation? But Jada's somehow called G.I. Jane. Not okay. But not okay. But at the same time, it's also equally not at all okay to hit someone over a joke that was written probably by whoever's writing the jokes for the Academy Awards. And he's on a highly rated show on a national platform. This is a man, Will Smith, that has said that he does not condone violence. He believes violence is poison. He is against violence in any way, shape, or form. And I also don't like the sentiment that he put out where he said, love makes you do crazy things. That's actually something men say when they hit their wives. I'm not saying that he has ever hit his wife. I don't believe him to be a wife beater by any means. But if we start to justify things by saying love makes us do crazy things, and then we say, well, that justifies my violence, that's not acceptable. So I also think it's not rational to say that people, because they are not, like, because I'm white, I'm not allowed to have an opinion on whether or not someone is violent. I think that's asinine. I don't believe that the joke was appropriate, and I don't believe that we should be ever joking and making black women the joke or the butt of the joke at the expense of like a white woman. That's not okay. But it's not okay to literally someone on live television and then curse them out when you are on the biggest platform of your career and you're up for an Academy Award. Like, that's not how a professional would ever act.
The joke he made was in reference to her hair.
She has alopecia, so it's like a condition where her body, it's an immune disorder. And I understand, I have a son that has disabilities, but I would also, if someone, there have been plenty of horrible comments people have made about my child. Never once have I hit anyone because of something they've said about him. I've been angry. I have expressed my anger and my lack of happiness about what they have said about my child, but I would never hit someone. And I just don't condone violence. That's just me. Okay. Plus, I don't think men should have to stick up and protect women. It's just so misogynistic to think that we can't take care of ourselves. Toxic masculinity, correct. No, she's been losing her hair for years. She came out with the condition in 2018. Penelope... The joke was... Hold on. The joke was in reference to her hair being shaved because of, like, G.I. Jane and Demi Moore. But she has come publicly out about the condition in 2018, about how she has this form of alopecia that's an immune disorder. So yes, it's not okay to mock someone's immune disabilities. And Penelope is Spanish, right? Penelope is Spanish. Spaniards are white. They are Caucasian. You might be thinking of Mexicans, perhaps, or Hispanics, but Penelope is Spanish and Spaniards are Caucasian. Just like Italians, people from Italy that have olive skin are also Caucasian, Hispanic or Latino. Like, I lived in Spain in college, and my host mom, because I lived with a family, She was blonde with blue eyes and fair skin. I don't think Chris knew she had alopecia. I didn't know that either. Like, alopecia can be not immune. I learned this week. You can have alopecia and it not be actually from like immune disorders. Like, it's balding. It's like the clinical form of word for balding, but there's different forms of it, and there's a certain form that actually is more prevalent in women of color, and it actually is like an immune disorder. I was not in Sevilla. I was in Toledo.
What you doing, sweetie? Can you go potty? If you're looking for food, there is none. Can you go potty? Frida?
Spain is gorgeous.
Frida, you gotta go potty?
All right, I'm tired and I have a son that's sick, so tonight's gonna be a long night. Madrid is so amazing, yes. Be kind, be sweet, don't be mean to people. Yeah. Spain has good wine and they also have really good cheese. Good night.